computer froze in the middle of the conversation.
Oh, is that what happened to you? I was like, the music went away. I was sad.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Have
it's
I
streaming
liked this
again now,
song?
but Christ, like, it just,
All right,
everything just locked right up. It was fucking weird.
That sucks. Here is the chapter for tonight's story. It's warranted.
Yeah.
Welcome to Doom.
Actually, last week's chapter was Welcome, Riv.
Okay.
Actually, I'm really curious. Because I've been naming the chapters just for my own, like, before we even go into it.
So it's called
Paladin.
Kaladin. That's what it's called. Sorry.
You know, Ken better be enjoying his party with
Angela,
Angela.
this is Rumi.
So we had a pot of coffee, fucking weird, banished, the mantra, followed by called it, finish him, focus on it, welcome Riv, and tonight it's worth it.
I love it. Called it. I'm sorry, that has to be my favorite title so far. Called it.
Yeah.
What I think.
And called it. Actually, I was actually instead of drawing, I was literally writing out the story as we went through, like putting in the details. And because D, you do a great job of describing things, and I was adding in random dialogue.
Well, that's good. That'll be good for later. But if this ends up being anything worthwhile, man, I would love to see it hit the thing, because I had a game that lasted almost 2.5, 3 years. And they were like, we should turn this game into a comic book or a graphic novel. I'm like, that'd be badass. But we didn't have notes from the start.
I couldn't do a graphic novel. Couldn't do that, but I could probably write this up. When I was in college, I used to write up just like short stories and plays and just random shit, and I used to have fun with that. I found I wrote a play called You Are Berserkly, in which every character was paranoid as shit, except for the person who was supposed to be paranoid. They were perfectly sane, and it was about life at UC Berkeley. Making fun of people who thought themselves so high and mighty in college when you're just in an ivory tower.
Yeah. Okay, so as a brief sum up from the rest of it, we've got Riv won't be joining obviously this evening. She'll be gone next week, but next week we'll do like a world building session. We'll just kind of come together and drag that out, but we'll see how far we all get, and then I'll do a cinematic drop of Riv back into the game, because we're going to throw a little bit of a curveball at the crew for this evening, and then we'll see how it gets handled from there on in.
Well, it's warranted.
Mm-hmm. I like to use, like, real-life events as a means to screw things up in-game, so nothing quite like having your cat jump up onto your freaking playmat. Call out to Darkness Rising. Okay.
We should just watch that one of these nights.
What, Darkness Rising?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I love that movie. It's so damn perfect.
It's so bad, it's good.
It's amazing. It's an amazing movie. Not to mention the fact that it makes me nostalgic, even though I've never met any of the people that are in it or anything. I was sitting there, I was like, God damn it, I'm Kevin.
Finn the Fine.
Yeah. I'm Kevin, and Flynn is my old friend Jason from back in the day. Squat Californian, shaved head.
Wait, did
looks
they
like
do
Vin
a
Diesel.
third movie?
Yeah, they've done more. They've basically made it an indie cinematic universe all to itself.
Oh my gosh, what is this? Shadow Menace? Humans and Households? Okay, wow. I had no idea.
They kind of blasted off. It's good stuff. Alright, now I'll be able to transition this stuff without having to interrupt the stream. Ha! Let's do...
I like the visualizing.
There we go.
I close on my work stuff.
God, I feel like we just closed the portal and this is the sound we're getting.
So, yeah, everyone had just traveled through. You've got Firestorm now bound into, was able to link with Barrick. And so he can broadcast Firestorm's signal to everybody's comms.
We had just hopped through a portal and saw some looming creepy thing right where we were.
Yep. But if everyone rolls awareness real quick, there'll be a slight addition to this.
Go, Ivar.
Ivar want to know where we are.
Okay,
What's
we're
going
all
on?
equally aware.
So, yeah, I mean, everybody seems to tap right into it. Right, you hear a crackle on your comms for just a moment, and as the portal seals itself together, at the last possible moment, you realize that Riv did not actually move through that portal at the same time the rest of you did. She's actually just staring at this strange silhouette where these burning coal-type eyes are fixated on her, and then the thing seals up. She doesn't scream, she's not hollering, she's not making any kind of motion like she's terrified. It just goes out, and you can see her sort of illusioned or out of it. Like there's something kind of wrong in her head, but she's not at all fixated on the group, nor is she actually paying any attention to the actual portal closing.
Riv!
And then seals shut. She says nothing.
So John just kind of, it's like, "Oi, fire marky thing. Open the fucking portal back. We're not leaving her." He's just kind of looking around like he's expecting like firestorms like in the nether. It's like,
Right.
Fiery thing.
John,
Open the
John.
fucking portal again.
Ivar opened the portal.
Ivar opened portal, not Firestorm. But Ivar have problem. I'm not certain where we were. I just picked spot on the map and jumped.
But you can't figure a way to open that portal back to where we were?
I need to know location.
So
Can we... Firestorm,
John.
can you show us map of where we were? And do we want to go guns blazing? What is plan? How do we save Riv? We must act quick.
He's not
Firestorm.
responding on comms.
Yep. Riv doesn't respond. It's like, I'm sorry, Ivar. I can't seem to reach anybody on that comm. Whatever's going on with her is something else. It's to be expected. This place is in some sort of strange flux. Has been for a while. For now, the best thing you can do is move forward. I doubt that she's probably dead, but I don't think you have much time.
What do you mean this place is in flux? What does it do
Can't
to
you
people?
tell? Ivar, look around you.
cast out your
Does it
senses,
look
man.
Stable? Even I'm
You-
picking up the weird stuff.
How's Ivar's danger sense right now?
Well, it's elevated all over the place. Instead of your tolerance being at around a 1, you're at a 3. You know what I mean? But it's everywhere,
Is
just
it-
kind of all over the place.
But is it pinging around, or is it just a general sense?
It's general malice directed at everybody, yourself included. It's always what happens whenever you're in a place that is overtly hostile to the entire group.
Whatever
So John's
it is,
like-
this place does not like Ivar.
John's pacing back and forth, like going, fuck. You know, Ivar, you are infinitely more sane than this place.
Ivar agree.
All right, so Firestorm, you saying we can get her back?
I'm hoping that we can. She can't have left. I have a suspicion that if she's combat worthy, she might have a better chance of survival. On the other hand, the situation is thus. Due to a planar shift that seems to be in constant occurrence exactly at your location, as I had said last, gravitational fields can sometimes be erratic. Even vacuum can be found at random sections. Technically speaking, the entire Phobos station should be without atmosphere entirely, but that's not the case.
Fine, we do this
John,
thing for you. You make it right.
Ivar wants to do a tactic roll, and he wants to know if we're dealing with vacuums and all this crazy science and crap.
I do believe that correspondence was being used by John, so that you could determine exactly what's ahead.
Yeah, so
well, what I was wondering is and I'll do a tactics roll here.
Yeah.
Not very good, but what Ivar wanted to know is, would it be prudent for him to almost do a reality shift around the group and create like a bubble of a stasis of a
basically a stabilizing like is around your
stabilizing orb that like we were underwater. It would be the equivalent of we have oxygen surrounding us, and while water is being held at bay, that I almost hold the lack of gravity and the vacuum at bay to give us room to work.
That's totally possible. If you do your will check target 8, you should be able to sustain that. Of course, any kind of ongoing concentration puts you at a deficit for other things or effects, just like usual. But if you wanted to sustain that particular effect where everything's stabilized, where you're not subject to gravitational field fluctuations and atmospheric differences, yeah, that would definitely be a smart move.
Ivar kind of explains his plan to John and ends with John, what do you think? Should Ivar make this happen?
Make it happen. I'll show the way. You port us. Firestorm, you track. I guess Barrick, you tell us where we need to go according to Firestorm, and then we port.
I don't mean to pry, as Firestorm cuts in, but you have a very fascinating, if sad, place that you come from.
Well, personally, I find it to be quite lovely. In a shithole kind of way.
The streets are a little stinky, I understand. But it's home.
I'm now tracking you on several surveillance cameras that are still active in throughout the compound. They're at a great distance, so the resolution's not the best. We're going to be able to do what we need to do, but I won't be able to give you the most definitive or down-to-the-foot measurement.
Firestorm, are there others who have access to these cameras?
If they do, they're not using them.
Fair enough. Ivar, now shift and make bubble. I want to make the bubble so that if we were to go out of it or in it, it's not. And he's kind of asking John, should I make it more defensive or just general bubble so Ivar can do other things?
Let's make it a general atmospheric.
Okay. Simple and atmospheric bubble.
Yeah, general atmospheric. We can go defensive when we need to go defensive, but right now...
Did your camera die?
Computer restarted.
No! What's happening today?
Yay. So, John's... It says, Ivar, if you can just keep us from, getting sucked into the vacuum, we can use Firestorm through Barrick to give us schematics. I'll find the safe places.
John, I have a problem.
Need to be.
I have a problem.
What?
And as you're talking to him, you see Ivar just he's sitting there he's trying to do something, and nothing happens.
Ivar, are you taking a shit? Or are you trying to do something?
Look at my rolls.
He just goes, fuck, Barrick, he shit him.
I want Ivar to be like, look at my rolls.
He's the only one that breaks the fourth wall in some degree without me penalizing it.
Deadpool.
Yeah, he's a little bit Deadpool, just a little bit.
Hi, guys.
So he goes, fuck. All right, so
Oh my god, 9777443. Yeah.
And he goes, he's just kind of going, Sparky McGee, where the fuck do we go now?
And it's like, keep heading on that way. You have to find yourself over to Sector 2. The only way to do that is to reach out to the next point of the railway intersection, which is dead ahead. Just follow the rails.
Quick question about magical mechanics and correspondence. Could John, because he's got his correspondence aura running, can he teleport the three of us like Ivar did with correspondence?
You could, but of course you'd have to make a success for each person that you want to move independently in that fashion.
How about
Let's just
Ivar?
hoof it.
Why don't we do? Yeah, I suggest we hoof it because Ivar right now is a little. I want to say worried, but he's a little off. Like he just tried to shift reality, and this shouldn't have been hard for him at all. And now he's like, you see beads of sweat on top of his sweat. Ivar's a little worried right now.
So what is John's correspondence aura tell him about the surroundings? Does he sense targets, threats, dangers?
Well,
'Cause
in an
he sees
unnerving
and-
sort of way, whenever you start reaching out with your senses like that, as you could before, being able to sense the space in and around you, you realize that there are multiple planes shifting over the top of each other. You feel the original plane, the prime material, sitting here, and overlaying that is this other fluctuating force of planar disturbance on top of that. Try to imagine feeling your reality everywhere around you and then getting horrendous static as to the physical objects and their cohesion. So you're basically feeling that, and then it will stabilize, but as a secondary prime material plane, not of the original origin. So you're feeling that.
Ivar's looking at John as he's thinking these thoughts. And he's like, John, you know why my reality shift is not working well, don't you?
Yes. Because there's multiple layers of reality. All converging. All coming down on us. So let's get on the track.
Is
Get
this
this
Copperfield? Let's move.
No, it's yes and no. Let's move. And then he says, fucking hell. And then you just kind of see him crack his head to the side, and he just kind of looks back at the two of you for just a second, and you see the crown just dig into his skull a little bit more. And as he walks forward, the plates start forming from his leather trench, and he's fully encased by the crown of thorns. And you just hear that kind of chuckling sound as his head kind of rocks back and forth.
Okay, so you guys start to
Let's
move along
move.
the tracks. Now, you'll have... Alright. Firestorm kicks back in. He's like, be advised, from where you are now, you have approximately 1.5 clicks to your destination point before we diverge. After that, you'll be taking an intersecting lift to the top decks, either 4 or 5, take your pick. They're both in heavily damaged areas of Sector 1. After that, you'll be moving onward. It'll be a longer trek along that same route, but the entire railway has been obstructed by debris, and there's a good chance that you'll be encountering hostiles along the way.
So, the cult just kind of stops for a second, and Ivar, you just kind of see the bloody, jagged metal grin. It says, "You're too slow, pet." And he kind of like not quite grabs him by the scruff of his neck,
You
but
put
like
Ivar down. Ivar's
He-
not as slow as he used to be. He's been working out.
now we're going to run.
Oh. Wait, Ivar got solution for that. What Ivar would like to do is try and shift reality again, but this time he's going to multiply Ivar's. So that there's illusions of Ivar's that he can almost transport between them. So like the illusion can move forward, but he can almost transpose himself into the different Ivars.
Ivar just needs to do a slight gravitational lashing to make himself lighter.
Ivar could do that too.
Yes.
Okay.
Goddamn Stormlight Archives coming into it. I love his magic system. Are you gonna be able to get your computer back up? Probably be easier to do the rolls.
Look who's here!
Sorry.
I hear something on comms.
Look, it's Barrick 2.0.
Barrick just like you just saw his eyes like restart. He like a little blue screen.
Fucking Windows update.
You just hear this dung.
All right, let's get going.
All right.
It's finally Windows 9.
Yeah. Anyway, so
All right.
we follow.
I tried to change my audio output and ended up restarting my whole computer. So Barrick wanted to do a survival roll before all this happened.
Rock and roll it.
My thought was, and it may not do anything helpful for us, but my thought was alien environment.
Yes, that is not a bad idea.
Shelter, water, food, sort of, situation. But now I have to find some.
Ivar always have vodka. Don't worry about it, Barrick. It'll be okay.
Survival. 20.
Okay, yeah, so more or less, the circumstances, you can actually kind of address what might be, positive or negative. So what you're doing with your survival check, if you're going to, I'm blending it as basically a hyper-focused kind of tactics, where you're going to be able to discern, just from observing everything else, including with your multi-spectrum vision, you'll be able to determine where there might be certain gravitational fluctuations, because it'll cause all kinds of fluctuations in heat energy. It'll also be where there's vacuum, because certain things with lacking of friction, and again, heat will be unobstructed and stuff like that, you'll be able to tell the minute differences and maybe help predict, at least visually, what some danger areas could be just from those points. So,
fantastic.
Yeah, you'll be able to kind of address those problems as they come in. So, to put things into perspective, you guys emerge from out of the wrecked entrance from where you began of this rail station, and looking at the schematics is one thing, but when you come staring across the entirety and the immensity of this entire station, it is tremendous, to say the least. The undertaking that it could have taken would probably have matched a Night City entirely, but it's obviously circular. The dome itself is not a perfect rising dome to create a full bubble. It's actually much more suspended, so it's flatter. It's flatter across the top, so it takes less surface area to manage. But like I said, it's about 2 kilometers up at its dead center at the highest point. And that's where you can see the military installation hanging from the various support structurings as the dome was constructed. At the center point where the core and everything else is, based on those same schematics, you can tell that the center part of this construct was built and designed to sustain a massive number of people could have lived here. 500,000 people could have lived easily in this station in particular. These decks were organized in a very specific manner. The central core handled everything that was for day-to-day and utility use. And that would have been all of the water purifiers and recycling units, air and recycling, all the various plants, growth, agriculture that would have been in-house and grown. That would have all been at the dead center, which now is at the central point of massive gravitational distortions, seeing the fact that you're seeing multi-ton rocks just floating in orbit in and around the various buildings that sit dead center, most of which are darkened out, some of them showing signs of radical amounts of damage. The buildings are no longer in use, but you can still see movement if you use your telescopic vision. There is a lot happening at the center, which means that anything that gets in there is probably not going to have a good day. And while you guys are moving along this rail, you realize that these rails go deck by deck, going in complete circles all the way around. Taking, from where you guys are headed, you've got your 1 and 2 o'clock. You can see a catastrophic amount of damage. that's over in that way quite a distance out. You can see where the dome has been crashed in, opening up to a vast expanse of outer space. Making sense what Firestorm had said, that the entire place should be littered with pure vacuum, but it's not. This place has, somehow or another, some feasible atmosphere instead of just being absorbed into the vacuum. Which might also explain the reason why random pockets of vacuum occur if there's any fluctuation whatsoever. It's the reality that originally existed asserting itself once again. But
would Ivar be able to discern anything more about these fields with his study of education, higher learning, or would this be more of an occult role?
You could do either or. I would actually be totally viable with either. That being said, you can see the decks going up. Now, of course, this had living situation brought up in mind, because each one of these decks is quite wide. The transit systems that were constructed are multi-purpose. The rails seem to be the best way to get around in long distances, going around in loops. Inside, though, you look towards it there on this particular deck. This seemed to have been a massive research deck, which was used for labs, experimentation, all kinds of different things. You can see at the far back end, they were testing some kind of energy, or they were using it for some kind of energy experimentation as they created a form of nuclear reactors that went all the way around so that they could do particle collisions and shit like that. So, Deck 3 was definitely designed as a scientific, explorative deck. This was their R&D level. But,
so, Ivar with his 24 would have recognized all of this?
Yeah.
This place is nuclear. We want to get out of here quickly.
And you just kind of see, like, the metal head just, like, cocked to his head. And it's not this... And you almost see, like, John's personality almost come back through the corruption of the armor with the no shit Sherlock, and then you just kind of hear that you hear that voice kind of come out of the mouth, and then it goes back to the laughter as it continues to walk on.
We should probably get moving.
So everyone is on foot, moving as fast as they possibly can. Are we walking, running? What's up? Or are we just kind of moving at a fast pace? That's at a walk, but not like a jog.
So my mobility is at 10.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So my full out sprint is
fast,
60 meters per.
Yeah, you can run close to 30 miles an hour, easy. Yeah, just whenever you're just like.
I will keep.
And my mobility is 11.
Yep.
Okay.
My mobility is 4, but I can make portals. So
he's skipping.
Here's Barrick, and then like Ivar just like.
He's like on your left.
Was Ivar doing, like, sitting there pissing in a corner? What took you so long? You run further. It says drinking whiskey. I mean, you seriously are taking too long.
He's standing there teleporting. You guys are running by, but it just looks like you're passing Ivar constantly. Like he never moves. He just passes by.
He's just Nightcrawler teleporting.
Yep. Basically, that's it. Yeah. And, it's a motion that's fairly simple.
Intergalactic space hobo.
Yeah, it doesn't take you more than 6 to 7 minutes at that speed to get to the obstruction. So you can see where there's been some kind of massive blowout because the destruction of this site has completely blocked any rail transit from happening. The debris is large enough you can tell.
Ivar went to the bathroom. I had blowout.
Intergalactic space hobo, yeah. So when you're looking at this debris, however, you can see that it is obviously a convergence of something massively destructive that blew apart the substructure of the actual railway. There are also buildings that have self-collapsed on the inside of it, and it makes it impossible. So you could look up and over, but you can see that destruction goes down quite a ways going out. And then you have Firestorm basically when you arrive. It looks like you've already made it to the juncture point. Head upwards to decks. There is a lift that's still more or less functional that will take you to deck 5.
Firestorm. Is there fallout in here that we've got to worry about?
The place is in planar flux. There's all kinds of fallout to be concerned with. If I told you everything, I suspect you'd probably be more focused on that.
And then the cult just looks at Berg and says, "I'll feel it."
All right. Everybody make a will check, please.
Of course.
Any target we're going for?
It'll be a target 8.
I don't do will checks.
Take whatever your will is and put that in front of a D, and it'll. There you go.
Wow.
Ivar, you see Ivar again. Just he's sitting there and he's like trying to do something, and nothing's happening.
I have a will of 8, so I did 8d10.
8d10?
Correct.
Yep. Target 8.
I have one degree of success.
3 degrees of success. Apparently, I'm in more of a comfortable environment here.
And John's already in a somewhat unstable state to begin with. So
Ivar, before we hear the results of things, would like to do a tactics roll to see if he should try some luck and try.
Doesn't Ivar have a medium?
He
Or
does.
whatever.
Yeah, he does.
Right.
Yep. The funny thing is that rolling tactics is free, and he's using it exactly the way that it's intended to.
There you go.
12 on tactics. Should Ivar be boosting this?
Where are you at?
He's got
you got
0.
0. It wouldn't hurt. That would
So
definitely be.
Ivar is sitting
Just knock
there.
one of the 1s to a 2.
I would
and-
say.
and that-
Yeah, I was gonna say you might want to just do a boost. You're not gonna want to do a re-roll. That's gonna be too heavy.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna do a boost. So that would be it's 2 for that, correct?
Yeah, 2 to boost. So it gives you a
he's
success
boosted
of
up,
1.
so he has 1 degree of success. Like all of a sudden you see him, and he's there, and he looks down, and he's like, "Oh, look, a penny!" And he picks it up, and just like you see things start to shimmer around him.
Oh, a penny.
So everyone is stuck there. Firestorm gives his instructions to your left, going upwards. You do see what he was referring to is that there is actually this broken sign that shows that there's a lift some ways in. So once you get to that point, you'll meet the, where the deck comes up like this, and you'll have a lift that goes up to the next levels. And it will go up at an angle, so you guys will be able to surpass that. But while you're seeing that, you turn to go into it. Everyone hears this strange, chittering noise in the back of their head, and then laughter, but that's it. There's just a vague moment when something insane seems to intrude on your mind.
the cult just
Yes,
kind of just
we
cocks his head to the side and says, "Try
20
harder."
years.
And they just kind of tap the head. Scarier in here.
Ivar just kind of starts swatting around like he's having an hallucination again, and he's trying to shake it off. And then he stares at the penny as if it's real, and he's like trying to touch it. This funny penny.
Pet. Focus.
All right. Head toward the lift.
You go walking past these buildings. There is kind of a sense of something else happening in this place where it just feels like it's almost alive and watching you. The lighting that's bouncing off of the atmosphere of Jupiter and pushing into the dome is pale and sort of unrelentingly uncomfortable. You're just kind of watching around. The shadows are long and dark, and everything else seems to be trying to sort of invade everything else. You're not sure if it's from what you heard just a moment ago, or if it's just the way that this place is. It's hard to know which. But for the moment, you haven't lost anything. As you're moving along, everyone make a combat sense check, please.
24.
Yep. You're the first one to hear it. And there is this strange kind of scratching noise. It almost echoes. You realize that sound here is a little different as well. It kind of distorts, echoes off of nothing, and sometimes becomes like utterly weighted and almost soundless. It's fluctuating because it's trying to decide whether or not there is or is not atmosphere to reverberate through. But the scratching is unmistakable.
So the cult just kind of slowly shifts, like the creaking of metal, towards that, and concentrates his aura in that direction.
Looking for sin, or just like trying to just focus?
Well, because he's not the gentleman anymore.
Right.
So he did a correspondence kind of like aura. So
Okay.
they kind of feel it.
You shove out that way, and then it's like you get that static reverberation as you're moving along. It's nauseating. And as you feel your sense crawl over the buildings and into the shadows beyond your own sense of true vision, there are multiple what seem to be muscular things crouched onto walls and the ceilings of these flat-top labs, and they're moving very slowly and stalking one prey that seems to be happened right towards that lift.
So us.
Mm-hmm.
How many targets?
From your immediate detection at this range, you've got at least 9.
What's
9.
wrong, John?
You just kind of see him just like humming to himself, kind of rocking back and forth. 9 playthings come to finance. 9 playthings come to die.
Would you like Ivar to remove them?
I haven't fed yet.
I just make portals, send them somewhere else.
Give me one. One to feed.
Okay. How many are there? I can't see.
He kind of cocks his head to the side. 9 to play with, maybe more. 9 to play with, 9 to die.
Relatively, what's the positioning of the group versus these stalkers?
So you have the destructed wall that's on your right. When you were traveling along it, it was going towards the edge of the dome. That's your 12 o'clock. And then at your 9 o'clock, you have these, 9 and 7. They're coming at from your side and from your back. So they're going to be on those buildings, and those buildings are a certain distance away. And that's where they're going to be coming from, is from your 9 and 7 o'clock.
That's Scott.
What's the distance? Are they within Ivar's 160 feet?
Yes.
Perfect.
Alrighty.
Grab some more. I'll be right back. I can listen.
Alright. Alright. So, based on those checks, you are going to be the first one to react there, John. Because they hop up and they're starting to come over the top. Some standing at the tops of the buildings, the other one's trying to crawl down the walls. I'll describe them here in a moment.
So he's going to respond to the ones behind us. So how many are behind again?
You have 9 in total that you're aware of. You have some that are at your 9 o'clock, probably 3 or 4. You have the other 4 or 5 at your 7 o'clock. And they'll be approaching at a beeline from there.
So
roughly
he approached it
100 or so feet out.
So he kind of does that shifting and blood smile towards the 5 at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And the armor shifts and changes and smokes, and the bastard is now in play. So that metal hat, the eyes, it's kind of missing, and because the other one's glowing so bright.
Yeah.
It says, "Lovely, lovely's here to play. Lovely, lovely's da da da." And he's just kind of humming a jaunty little tune. Tiny bubbles in my wine. And then he just kind of puts his hands like that. Says, "Oh, why are you hiding?" And then he's gonna wrap them up in 3 chains. I mean, each one in a chain, so 5 chains total, 5 different targets.
All right, so you're launching 5 different chains of 5 different targets. Got it.
Yeah. So that puts him at 32 SFR.
Okay.
Because I kept the totals from last time. Let me bring up my notebook for the bastard. We've gone to spreadsheet number 5.
Handy dandy notebook. You need like a OneNote just for your character.
I have a OneNote for my character.
There you go.
Okay. So 5 separate rolls.
Yeah. Just to see how
what do
accurate
these
you are.
creatures look like?
Well, since he's rolling, I'll take the time now to describe it. So, when they emerge, they seem to be... they're humanoid, for sure. They have 1, 2, and 3 sets of eyes going on hairless, leathery-like skin. They are extraordinarily well muscled. They seem to almost have this glassy sheen to them. And they're approximately 6 to 7 feet tall, just from looking at their base gauge. But they have these heavy, thick claws, and they move fast. And whenever they're crawling down those walls, they're doing it on all fours and start to, touch ground and come that way. Let's see what we got going on here.
So we have 32, 30, and then that was an exploder, so there's the 5 at the end, so that's 38, and then 32 and 30.
All right. So
That is a nice set.
yeah, every one of those chains manages to take down their target. I mean, you've got 2 that were coming up over the top, 1 that was standing up on top of the actual roof. The 2 of them were coming down. Others had come from around the side of the building. Once they were all visible, you basically just go boop, and these chains jut from various surfaces all around the building, the ground, the roof. You can see that they hit their mark, going in god-awful locations, either in the crotch or growing, or through the neck or the head, and then just locking into place with the actual chain link becoming barbed just after the actual penetration. They're all screeching and screaming.
Okay, so 50 damage to each of them, but as the bastard's just like this, smiling, singing his jaunty little tune, so we determined his shifts are based off melee master.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just like, well, I just want to introduce you to my lovely friend. He's quite hungry. And then like the chains that are on his hands, just kind of, the hands get bigger and then form claws. And then Mr. Bigsby is just like, all 8'5" tall, just going, feed me more. and then he's going to do his Devour 5.
Alrighty.
On all 5 targets.
Good man. So you'll start to pump that out. The ones that you're at your 9 o'clock, there happens to be 4 of them. They are moving through. One leaps off the top, one from the ground, the other ones are coming down. But as they move, you can see these fires ignite in the palms of their hands, and they basically all launch these blazing balls of flame at everyone. Let's see
Goodness
here.
gracious.
All right, we'll need to see what your defenses will be. So everybody can make their dodge as necessary.
Well, Mr. Bigsby is currently occupied holding the chains to feeding.
Mm-hmm.
So he cannot disengage action.
Right.
Otherwise devour, and we'll do the will check for the...
Right.
for the Devour when you're ready, so he can't really do anything.
Go ahead and do your will check. Now, what's funny is that the way this works is that you're going for every success, so you'll do your number of successes and multiply it by 5 because there's 5 targets you're suspending.
So 10d10.
Nice.
Explode 10, fail 1. What's the target? It doesn't matter, does it? Because it's my will versus theirs.
Yeah.
Okay.
How does mischance work? Just a reroll?
It's a percentile. So you have to roll a D100, and you have to roll under a 60%. Meet or beat by meeting it or rolling under.
He's gonna flip that 1.
76.
Okay.
And I'm gonna roll a target, a tactics, to see if he needs to pump anything else into it, because he's hungry. So, 32 on tactics.
And you're trying to discern like the current combat theater and just get an overall logistical check, or what?
A logistical check on whether he needs to pump those numbers up any further, because he's gonna spend another luck.
No, you don't need to do that. Not with the way you're filling up, because you ended up with 20 points of SFR drained out of them for that.
Okay. So he's...
Having this cheat sheet makes this shit so fucking simple. Alright, so... Ivar. Wow. So, Scott... What was your dodge there?
Dodge was at 18.
Yeah, if you use your gun...
I was asking...
If you use your gun kata, because it's considered to be like projectiles, like you're basically positioning yourself, you're probably going to be very easy to maneuver out of this. You'd probably use your gun kata as a way of avoiding the damage, because you're in combat.
Yeah. So I would roll...
Well, in this case, what did you get on your original roll, was it? Or did you actually make it 2? Yeah, so what was your martial arts?
Well, gun kata is 22.
Okay, so 24.
Base. Yeah.
Okay.
My dodge is this.
And I believe you also have like armor that's mischance as well, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so do the same thing. Roll mischance for me, please.
Would Ivar, his danger sense at all come into play in this?
Yes, danger is firing at you.
Well, no, like his danger sense is at level 4. So he's got a lot more awareness of like, oh, something's coming at me.
So my warding is at a 60%, so that is above.
Yeah. So and your guys' armor, Ivar, and remind me, what was
magical attacks? It has to be magical attacks that are blocked become mundane, and then I have my warding bracelet that has mischance.
Right. What's your actual armor protection though? What's the number?
91 across, 61 for
That's
head.
what I thought. Right. So this hits Ivar on the chest, and it's going to end up impacting Barrick, like on one of his legs. And Barrick, your armor's like what, 60, 70, something high like that, right?
My legs are 67, yeah.
Yeah. You're warded as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it's mundane?
I just have the bracelet.
You just have the bracelet, gotcha. Okay, so in this case, Barrick, because it's not warded, the leg is you're gonna end up taking like 20 points of damage from that one ball of flame that actually hits your leg. Ivar, your armor just absorbs it, but you're still on fire, so you're gonna have to like pat the whole thing out. And this stuff has this horrid stench, almost like sulfur mixed into it. And when it comes down to our demon knight here, like he ends up being pelted, but like since he's basically absolving that, same thing. The flames are on, but you're not feeling it.
Okay, so Ivar in a sense has been hit.
Yeah.
He's now like, oh, Ivar on fire!
Yep.
Not good! Nice warm feeling, like not like vodka.
When do these penalties take effect on the health level?
So they happen immediately. So in this case, if you take 20 damage and your turn is next, which you are, then you'll assume what the penalty will offer at that point.
Well, what I mean is, so my health level is 19.
Yeah.
So one of them is depleted, and I've 1 point into my second health level.
Yeah. So in other words,
take the -1 now.
Yes.
Or
because when it lands inside that health level, that's when you suffer the
Okay.
penalty.
Cool. I've only been killed or not hit. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but you also took on interesting positions. I mean, you did take on the risky bits with the freaking like AVs firing large weapons at you. So
Right. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm just laughing because it's like you're right, but he's always taking the hard jobs. Like I was just
Yeah.
I mean, he's out of line, but he's not wrong.
oh god. Marvin Gaye. All right, so yeah, I mean, Barrick, your turn to retaliate because these things are now rushing you, the four that basically lobbed the fireballs.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'll divide 3 shots on one, 3 shots on another.
Okay.
And so I have a -1, so that I just take 1 off of my roll.
Yeah, you basically just have a -1 penalty on your rolls.
Okay.
Yeah, with Barrick shooting.
Woo! Right?
Sorry.
That's a plus 28 instead of a 29. So, target 1. Alright, and then number 2. Oh, and I got an exploder. Alright. So I have a miss and a crit.
Okay.
So the first one was a 30, 29, and a 37. And then on the second one, I got a 35, 39, and a 33.
Gotcha. All right, so yeah, I mean, you start like throwing these shots downwind, and if I'm not mistaken, the actual not only are these things considered to be what you're using, like the holy damage, right? The hallowed rounds.
I'm using the hallowed rounds, which are AP6.
Yep. In this
And
case, you know,
hallowed.
perfect targets. So yeah, I mean, like you go blasting through them. Now your shots ring off, and these things are snarling, rushing right towards the group. You take 2 targets completely down. You can see the rounds blast huge holes into the enemy at this point. It rips through them like rice paper. So the 2 corpses that were at mid-full run just slide to a stop. Most of the head missing on one, the arm and the head and the upper part of its body completely slagged on the other.
Fantastic.
Yep. So you've only got 2 other targets that are of concern at this point, and now you have Ivar, who's able to make his move.
Quick logistical question from last time. I had put Ivar, when we walked into this place, turned his true faith on. Is that still activated?
Yeah. Nothing can approach you
And-
within 10 feet, and if they try to use magic on you in the sense that they try to, like, corrupt your mind or any of that other stuff, you're just basically like, meh.
I'm shielded. Okay, so, and understanding right now, the group at 9 o'clock still hasn't been dealt with.
The group at 9 o'clock is completely frozen in place, held down by chains, while Senior John is basically sucking them dry of life force.
Okay, and then the group at 7 o'clock is the one that is actually the threat to...
Well, 7 o'clock, excuse me, I'm sorry, I misheard you. 7 o'clock, that group of 5, that's the one that John's handling. You have
That's
2 targets from
I-
9
I'm-
o'clock coming your way.
How many?
2. Dos.
2.
So it's 4, and then I took care of 2 of them.
And they're almost like an undead.
No, they're not undead.
But they look like they have flesh.
Oh, they're very much like I said. They're covered in like really tough-looking leathery skin with a glossy-like nature to it and multiple
Ivar
eyes.
doesn't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
They did not like my bullet.
Ivar
have
just
one
kind of like he's putting the fire out, and as he puts out, you start to see a fire in Ivar's eye, and he looks over at these creatures, and he just kind of like turns just a little. And what Ivar is going to try to do is cause the atoms inside of these creatures to slow to a dead stop.
Okay, do you know what would happen if you managed to pull that off? Oh my god. Anyway, I'll just tell you. Go ahead and make your reality roll, dude.
What's my target?
It's gonna be an 8. Just for complexity's sake. Yikes.
2 degrees of success.
Well, that's a hell of a lot more than them. They botched. So, you're just basically you have the fire of retaliation burning in, and you just like, fine, we'll just pull an all-stop e-brake on reality itself within these beings alone. They come rushing forward and suddenly cease. However, the sudden and dramatic level of quantum friction you create causes them to annihilate, blasting backwards in this dark strawberry yogurt color. They go and go like that, and creating this spatter pattern all over the laboratory like they didn't even exist. The molecules themselves are barely holding together, and you can see them vaporizing. It's got to be the most aggressive I've ever seen Ivar.
Ivar does not like being put on fire. John, are you done eating? We have business to do.
Well, and so
grandparents want that.
You just like pull the chains free, and the corpses drop. The SFR that you pulled out of them was significant enough that they just kind of like slump to where they are unable to function. They're barely even alive, or even barely conscious, for that matter. But you go looking around, combat sense, people.
Oh, and I've got a -1.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Over comms, you've got Firestorm going like, who the hell are you people?
22.
No, yours did something weird. You have a 30. It didn't factor in your roll.
Okay. So I got a 30.
I told you we are a group of irregulars working with the U.S. military.
Now that was putting it mildly. The sheer level of whatever I just saw, that's impressive. Haven't noticed anything like that since Purgatory. Glad to have you aboard. But you might want to move to the
we had
lift.
fun in Purgatory as well.
You did? Now I'm starting to realize that we are probably going to be more familiar with each other than we thought. And he's like, but you've got incoming. Multiple in the air.
What do you call these things?
Imps. Or at least that's what they like to call them.
So,
Can we make it to elevator before
If
these
you move,
things arrive?
you start to
How
take a
far
look.
is the elevator? How far is the elevator from the group?
You're probably at maybe a 4-minute run if you guys really push it, but you go looking up into the air and you can see almost what looks to be kind of like the small swarm of what seem to be shadows in the sky coming your way.
Time to go.
So John, with his 30, he's actually gonna spend.
Would you like portal?
And so John just kind of looks at the sky, and you just kind of see like a little bit of electricity kind of move between his gauntlets. And he says, "I wish to play, but fine. The others say, let's go."
As you're moving around, you can see these twinkling blue flaming lights starting to ignite in that shadow of a swarm, and then they start to swell as they are beginning a barrage of some kind of hellfire down at your location.
So portal.
What's the target to open a portal to get us all through and make us magically appear in this lift?
Well, you've only got 160 feet. The lift is quite a distance from that. So you're going to have to go pop, 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 pop. Basically, if you let Johnny Boy pick you up and you go running towards the lift, you can just create doorways to go zip, 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 zip like that and speed your way over.
All right. Do I have a target for that?
9, yeah. Let's see how much you get.
So he grabs him, and like the armor starts to hiss and react. Goes, stop it.
Oh, to the true faith.
Yep. So he picks him up and goes,
So we
stop
start
it.
moving backwards.
So he just grits and bears it. So he's gonna take the pain.
Yeah, but Ivar can't open the portal, and I don't know what a -1 is going to do as he's trying to shift reality.
Well, you hear this cracking sound. There's almost like a sound of like as if you were standing inside of glass as it broke. And you kind of feel this shift in the body. Nothing else really seems to happen at that point, but it's dramatically like you have this dramatic sense of unease, but you guys have to move. Now, if you want, you can all make a tactics move or a tactics roll again to kind of discern how you're going to be able to move fast.
Okay, that's exactly what he's gonna do. But he's also gonna the cult's gonna do some magic.
Okay, go for it.
But I'll do that in just a minute. 27 tactics.
So there are multiple vehicles that lay along the way here. One of them actually looks like it's in fair condition and pointed in the right direction. If you're lucky, it may have been like the keys left in it, but it could power up. It doesn't look like it's gas at all. It looks like it's something else. Maybe some other kind of fuel or power cell that would make it run.
I've got drive.
Yeah.
So, the
Ivar
cult
can try and start it.
the cult's just like just still dealing that, taking that pain.
Yeah.
Just running full tilt. Says, the barrack make it drive, yes?
Try.
And then as he does that, I'm gonna spend 4 arete to use forces and prime to Titan bubble, but a Titan bubble that moves with him. So he's utilizing negative gravitational forces to kind of create a trigger point system. So if something hits the bubble, it creates a gravimetric force that negates whatever hits it.
You're trying to create dispersion. Yeah.
Yeah. What's my target?
That's a pretty complicated spell at a moving speed, and we're gonna call it a 9.
Okay.
25 for Barrack's drive. Oh. With a crit.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So he's going to use.
Fucking awesome.
I'm gonna bump. I'm gonna use a tactics roll to determine how many degrees of success I need.
Okay. All right. So everybody gets hustled to the van.
Oh, did the D19. You're welcome.
Yes.
It's not a Shadows campaign unless I do a D19.
Let's do this one instead, maybe. Come on.
You know, Ken is like wherever he is, just went, yes, D19.
Fuck, what was I doing? Yeah, okay, it's plus 19.
Tactics roll to find out how many degrees of success, and Ken's like, I sense a D19 before.
25. So 25. How many degrees of success do I need to make that successful?
So you're talking about. You're gonna need 2.
Okay, so he's going to spend 3 to bump. So 2 to bump the 7 up to 9, and then 1 to bump the 8 up. So he's at 5 luck left.
Okay. All right. So you guys all hop into this thing. It's got an open frame, right? It's got shields that come around the top that roll up from the center point. As a matter of fact, when you hop in, Barrack, you take a look at it, you're like, oh shit, this is a military vehicle. you actually notice that
Right.
there are like various systems and operations that you could run. There's a weapon systems deck that's right there at your side, so you could actually pop up, and it looks like it's got a rear gunner. Like you just do a push button start. You can hear like Firestorm in your head. It's like, hold on, and then you hear it kick off, and you feel the engine rumble to life, and you're like, oh yeah, and then you start to move real fast. You put that gas all the way down, just before rather, the rain of these like bluish hell balls come hitting the ground right where you're at, and they're spattering all over the place. You're still getting those fumes of like sulfur and the rest of it, and you're going like 40, 50 miles an hour before you know it. The engine sounds weird. It's got a high whine to it, like it's electric, but there's definitely a lot more power involved with what you're doing, because you're like rocking almost V10 like power and moving at an accelerated rate that's not usual for a lot of cars. But you start doing these like subtle swerves, and you can see these things are just pelting all over. Of course, at this point,
perfect.
Yeah. While you're moving that along, you've got John over here. Let me check his rolls. What we
He's
got?
my gunner.
Yeah, he could be, actually, because if you pop that lid... what we got going on here? These GIFs are amazing. So
I was looking for that GIF. So basically, we're flying through at the seat of our pants.
Yes. So he used the luck to bump that up, both those sevens to that 7 and that 8 to 9s.
Okay. So in other words, you got 2 successes as needed.
Yep, as needed.
Okay. So you've got Barrick up front. You basically just kind of like sit there. So there's a seat that's facing backward, and then if you want to hit that deck, you just go boop like that. You can hear the thing just ratchet into place and lock out. And of course, John, you're sitting more towards the back, and you're kind of suspending this like field, and you're kind of maintaining concentration on it. You can even see some of the actual like destructive bolts kind of crashing down with where you're at. The dispersion works.
Do you want Ivar's gun?
The dispersion works, but you can see that this gun pops out. You don't know how many rounds are in it, but it looks like it's a fairly heavy weapon. And these things are starting to fly in close. You might be able to actually lay down counterfire.
Ivar would like to put his enlargement bubble right in front of the barrel.
Okay. Go ahead and...
Can you do a tactics roll to find out if that would be a prudent idea?
You don't need a tactics for that. Come on, man. That's a fucking stunt. Rock that shit. Let's see what you got. Are you taking up the gun?
Yep. So basically, you just kind of see because the bubble's being maintained. So you see the Colt shift into like this metal Stetson, just kind of pulls around, like that. You see the flowing plate metal just kind of go into like this long duster, and then you just hear "my, Barrick. Looks like I got the big gun now." And the guns, and it's the gunslinger.
Yep.
I will help you, my friend. And you see Ivar just look at the end, and he goes "Whoop," like this, and nothing happens.
So
Poor Ivar, man. It's so weird. Like he stopped the entire party from being annihilated multiple times in a row, but now can't do shit. It's the weirdest thing.
It's because
It actually
we're
works
not
out
in
great.
his reality plane.
Right? The dice are playing directly into that whole idea.
I'm loving it.
Okay, so do I just do one roll or multiple rolls?
You're gonna do one roll, but do you have heavy at all?
No, I was just relying on the gunslinger's Stygian gun.
You'll roll
technique.
heavy. You'll roll heavy on your attack. Whatever bonuses the
Okay.
gunslinger gets you, you get.
Okay.
So this is dual hand grip. So you just pop it up like that, and you've got a little bit of a crosshair. It actually does have a minor holographic to it, so you can actually get that nice line of sight. And so you just
I don't have
pull the
any heavy,
triggers. So you just go.
Hey, Gunny,
Brap.
make a Z.
Yeah,
So one
Z pattern.
So 1d10.
that's exactly
one-
right.
This is a callback. This
Yep.
is a callback to when he told me to make a Z with my turret.
Yep,
So
Z pattern.
1d10.
yep. It's going to be a 1d10.
But what would the gunslinger's bonuses be?
Well, in this case, what are his abilities? Remind me.
So he has basically Stygian change as Stygian guns.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically shoots Stygian bullets.
Ah, so it was more innate.
Innate.
In this case, I'm gonna give you so what you're dealing with here is a massive swarm. It's gonna be really hard to miss. You're gonna hit something because they're collected together. So just give yourself a +5, run with that. That's just circumstantial.
12.
Not bad. Not bad at all. Above 10's all you really needed. All right. So you've got Barrick, who's running this thing at a high level, and you're basically firing off in this like shaky ass Z pattern because he's like Z pattern, like just shouting it back, and you're like, okay, let's draw Z's. So you're just going, like that, just basically trying to get anything you can.
And you just hear, and Barrick just kind of hears from the back, ma, this is a personal best, my friend.
And you just see Ivar the whole time just kind of like, he keeps repeating this motion and like, as if it's going to do something, and it does nothing. He's just like... and Ivar's useless tonight.
All right, I need a drive check from Barrick real quick because you catch up in front. You have Firestorm. It's just like you've got an obstruction coming, and inside your own like marquee, you actually see the route you're supposed to take, and you realize that there's some crash debris, but you've got a jump point where you can go up, over, and around it instead of like driving through some of the more complicated side alleys. Nice.
17 for drive.
All right. So you've got it.
So that I trained that 2 points.
You've got 2 seconds, basically, you got 2.5 seconds before you come up to this thing. You make that fast decision. You go slightly left. There's this big piece of debris that comes sort of like hitting down right where one of these flame bursts hit. And you go just a little bit, and then you pop the engine enough to get the wheels to kind of do this. Because you got to hit the brakes just a little bit to make a like that. Goes right up this ridge of something like one of the destroyed building walls. Comes up like this. So you guys go up over, and you're at this nasty fucking angle where it's just about 20 degrees or so, but you're going fast enough you just stick right on it. And then it just kind of goes off and levels just slightly at the other side, and you come jumping right down just past some jagged debris and kind of like do this fishtailing right as you make impact on the ground again.
There go them Duke boys.
Yep. Well, the thing about that is that you realize, too, that some of what's playing to your favor is the light gravity. There's actually a little bit of a fluctuation there. The vehicle was able to travel a lot farther than it normally would have under most circumstances. You still have that rain of hellfire coming on down. You've got Ivar spazzing out, trying to help things out, and then you have this, what looks to be a transit station where the lift is located, and it's coming into view. This is his fun time. He gets to be wheelman.
This is like he's got the sound of the machine guns going, and
why do I want to see all of a sudden Barrick like reaches out and his hand transforms into the siren and he puts it on top?
That would be fitting for the guy. All right. So yeah, you've got now like 20 seconds. Make one more drive check, and then Bill, one more heavy weapon check.
that's a crit.
God damn! Barrick
That's
for
a
the
30.
win. Holy fuck.
13.
I told you Alex should let me drive.
That's great. Alright, yeah, you do a little bit better than last time. You see these things as they finally come into view, they just look like these strange, like fleshy, floating meatballs, for lack of better termination, but they have wide gaping mouths, which is where they're ejecting these blue fireballs.
Damn it, true.
How many are left, or is it still just a giant swarm?
It's a
coming
swarm
out?
up top, and there are a lot of them. You can see that these rounds,
are
like
they-
through the muzzle flash.
What's the distance they are from us?
Fair. They're outside of 160 feet, so they're not that close. They're probably 300 to 350.
And Ivar create, instead of amplifying, just create a giant wall, like a big, giant, thick steel wall that's just floating out into reality.
Yeah, it'll be effective if you wait until they get to your range, because if you do it too early, they'll just go around it.
Yeah. No, he definitely he wants the time, and I'm gonna roll to just have Ivar in the wait to develop this, so that it's the moment they are like coming too fast, they can't divert. He's just gonna make a giant brick wall, or actually, I'm gonna go steel wall because it just sounds better. What would his target be to do such a?
Just target 8. Yeah, just because of how you're going at it. Green Lantern sweater. Okay.
And then after I roll, I'm gonna roll a tactics just so he knows the timing of it.
No worries. Okay, so you've got Barrick, who is basically pushing this through. Now John just barely runs out of ammunition, but I mean, you were watching this 3-foot-long muzzle flash out the end of this weapon, dropping brass into the back of the seat, and it finally clicks to a stop, and you can just see the smoke coming off. Where these balls are hitting and igniting, you've got him expertly diving through. There's actually one cloud of smoke that he goes rolling through, just barely catching in time that there's this one singular obstruction that he hits right, hits left, manages to drift the damn vehicle just a little bit, catch the same wheel traction again, and then push all the way back. And then slide in between this narrow little access port, and then just hit a drift again. But this time, when he does that last and final drift, he just goes right up to the transit station. You can see where the tires have just left like almost molten rubber from how hard he managed to pull that off. So all I got in my head is like a glove. Like, oh my god, thinking like alike too much. The dispersion field is still having an effect. You guys have not been damaged by anything coming down, but the strain of concentration is still there. You'll have to make it into the transit station, which looks to be a smaller building, which has the lift that goes up, because it looks like it's a gear-locking lift that goes up at a 45-degree angle, surpassing the decks.
How much damage has John taken from the Ivar's Holy Aura?
In this case, it's just causing raw pain. So
okay, so he's gonna grab Ivar again, and just come, pet.
Ivar's like, wait, I'll make a wall.
Nice. So
We gotta go, boy.
Still
So basically, he's carrying
God
here.
damn, dude.
Ivar's butt's here, and then Ivar's back here going, as he's just being carried. He's like, I make this go! As this gigantic, like, metal monstrosity is just kind of carrying him with
All right.
smoke kind of pulling in here.
Barrick and John, do me a favor and make me a dodge check as you guys are moving into shelter. Since we'll use John's dodge as Ivar's dodge, since Ivar's being carried.
You know, we're gonna get enough gifts going tonight that
Nice, nice.
Like, what did I?
Shit.
You tell me you did a gun kata trick as you went out on the back end, like dodge, fired back.
No, he did Bruce, the move that Bruce Willis did in one of the Die Hard films, where he just basically pulls the car and steps out and starts shooting.
Yeah.
That'd
Thank
be
you
sick.
for recognizing that scene.
So yeah, I mean, you guys halt to a stop. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, that is the best ever scene of any movie. Gotta love Bollywood. Because then I believe he kicks his gun and hits the dude in the head, locks it into his pants, and starts like.
But here's the best part: you're driving and you get out and do that.
So, yeah, you guys get rained on with this hellfire, the dispersion acting as proper cover, and you guys move into the transit station, letting off covering fire, I'm assuming, from Barrack in this particular sense, just shooting upward, and I won't even need a roll for that because, again, it's just a huge swarm, so your targets are going to be, mushed together. Ivar, trying desperately to resurrect some kind of physical obstruction, fails to do so, and John just tucking in. You have Firestorm overcomes going, lift. 250 feet this way. Like that, you can see the icon, and you go inside as the massive concussive blast to start landing in mass outside there. Most of the actual inside of here is in really rough shape. When you go inside past the main desk and at certain points, there are definitely corpses that are in the seats. Some of them are mangled and maimed and unrecognizable in some cases. You have the floor that is sticky with still human ichor of some kind or another. And, there's one creature that's sort of at the far back end that sees you guys are coming this way. You see the jaws completely missing from this point, and he's got a helmet on. It's got this bloodied UAC logo on the front, and he brings up this shotgun to go ahead and fire, but right at the moment you guys are sort of at preparedness level. So
is Ivar facing this person, or is Ivar's ass facing this person?
You guys are running towards the lift. This new hostile is actually between you and the lift, so you're going towards it. And it's pulling up what looks to be a shotgun.
What I'm saying is the way John was carrying Ivar.
Oh, you're headed the direction you're going. You're not facing away, you're facing
Ivar
ahead.
doesn't see where we're going. Ivar's watching behind us.
Yeah, his butt is facing the enemy.
Alright.
But what does my danger sense tell me? Which is the bigger danger?
Noise.
My ass end or my face end?
Nice. Oh my god. 1,000 years of pain. He actually lifts the dude up off the fucking ground.
Never be a teacher in Japan. Just heads up.
No shit.
Dude, go clean those toilets.
Alright. So, like I said, new target. It depends on who wants it. This guy's literally cannon fodder. Because he's pulling up the shotgun to fire.
Barrack is unencumbered.
Yep.
Since he's not carrying Ivar, he'll raise and fire.
Alright, just make one good shot. That's all I got to see. That's enough. Well, 28. Never mind, don't roll. So you're just like, whoop, like that, just blows this thing. The helmet just lands on the empty space of the bloodied neck. Then it just kind of yeah. And it just topples to the side.
Please tell me you're going to say I'm getting too old for this shit.
So that 250 feet clears no problem. And you guys get to the lift point. You've got Firestorm on the other side. It's like, I've got to control the power grid. Give me just one moment. And you can see the doors are kind of half jammed open.
Got this! Is Ivar aware of any buttons? Can he push a button?
Yeah, there's buttons. You can go to the various decks up above and below.
Ivar pushes... Do we want to go 4 or 5? I'm going to push 5 because it's close to the top. Ivar pushes 5.
Alright, you're right. Boop! And you hear the thing just shudder for a second. But you can feel pelting from the outside. Dice me taking a nap, no shit. Yeah, so it kind of sparks for a second. You guys hear nothing. There's a bit of a rumble, and then the lift goes like that and starts going up along the massive ramp that intersects.
Wait, I just want to... This is just for shits and giggles. We're going to do an athletics check to see if Ivar can actually push the button.
Okay. Actually push the button when you talk.
The music changed to see if you can push the button.
He wasn't able to push the button!
Alright. So the lift goes like that. You can feel it going up, and you can feel the gridlocks underneath just rolling the lift up to the 5th deck. And you've got Firestorm in this. It's like, you'll be able to actually exit this lift in approximately 10 more seconds, but be aware I think that swarm is going to be wanting to hunt you down. Hopefully you've got more tricks.
Do what we need to do. Barrett's reloading.
Yep.
So we're out of we're basically waiting for the swarm to come up now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you're waiting to get out of the lift because the lift is rolling. Okay. He gave you about a 10-second margin right before the doors will open and you guys will have to exit. It's being pelted from the outside from whatever these enemies are.
Are they within 160 feet yet?
You don't know until you exit the lift. But they will be like they'll pop open.
And John's bubble, deflection bubble, still up.
It depends. Did you leave it attached to the car?
It is attached to him.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it might be. Mm-hmm.
Ivar can do something. Just Ivar does not know what Ivar can do.
Ivar, how are you doing today?
I'm not having a very good day, John. For some reason, watch. And as he goes up there, Ivar's gonna try and like shift reality just as the door is opening.
Right.
In a sense to create go through his he's gonna create a swarm of his ferocious rabbits. His ferocious but he's gonna give them wings this time and make them equal in numbers to the swarm.
Basically swarm with swarm. Got it. Go ahead.
Got it. What's his target?
Still 8. I mean come on, man, come on.
Ivar's sitting there like, it's just, I don't understand.
Oh, you got it.
As he does it, he's just mojo. He's like, wait, I got an idea. And he like grabs his jacket and he kind of like flashes it open as the doors are opening. And all you guys see is the swarm of killer rabbits. It's the rabbit of Karabong.
Oh, God.
Dude, I love that rabbit. He was so good.
Good movie.
So, yeah, he goes whoop like this, and sure as shit, the fucking white, red, glowing-eyed, winged rabbits go flocking out of his fucking, underneath his trench coat, as if they were just all contained in there like doves. And they go flapping out at speed, going up and around. And you can see that many of them are taking the brunt of a lot of these downward shots. Ivar, you're going to want to make me another will check, because the swarm and the rest of them, because of how much fire they're taking, you're going to want to try and maintain it by letting the flood just kind of keep pouring.
And the Colt just kind of cocks his head to the side, looks at Barrick, and goes, I hope they blow up. He's laughing at this point, and that like chitness laughter.
So if I didn't have those ones in there, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees of success. I got 4 degrees of success, and Ivar's just like, why won't you work? And just.
Well, I can imagine Ivar, like at this point, I can't imagine it working, and he's like struggling as all the rabbits are coming out, so his body's shaking. He's like,
Yeah, exactly. Actually,
looks like you unplugged your chakra.
Everybody has performance issues from time to time, especially when you get older.
24.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, when you guys come out, it is like this sea of chaos that is flying overhead. The strange, one-eyed, immensely large, demonic-looking entities with no limbs, these cephalopods with these gaping mouths, are being swarmed by these rabbits and gnawed upon, and violently gnawed upon, while others are swallowing whole groups and like chewing on them. You can see bits of the flesh of these rabbits. It is a tit-for-tat complete rumble in the air. Yeah, right.
Awesome.
Basically that. So all of the major like hellfire downpour has ceased as they are going across. What you also notice is that some of these beings, these demons, are now like firing shots sideways and across at each other, and you actually notice that some of them have engaged each other and have begun fighting one another.
Because they're just like in full attack mode. Just...
Yep. Everything's an enemy. So everything is just going bonkers. You've got Firestorm's like, in all my time, I never thought I would see anything like that. Well, you'd better get moving, because who knows how long the two swarms are going to end up engaging?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Ivar, can you cut that off and move?
And Ivar just looks over at Beric.
Turn towards me.
And he takes his trench coat and he just closes it.
And you just see like the metal monstrosity just kind of walking, laughing, just going, "Wait till they start fucking."
And it's like, not interested. You have a goal to get to.
Yeah, let's move. Well,
by the way, I would like to remind everyone that those rabbits saved our lives once before.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
All right. So the next target Firestorm points you guys at sets you up at a point on the nav. You're leaving behind the chaos as you literally see balls of flames fired at one another, and it looks like fireworks going off as they're just detonating and launching and detonating and launching. It just leaves this pop and crackle behind everyone, and you're all moving as fast as humanly possible along another series of railways that are going out and around. Beric, you can see that the nav points to Sector 2, which is actually at a fair distance. If you guys are going to be running the whole time, you might wear out a little bit. Another vehicle might be preferred. And the top deck, Deck 5, happens to have a series of them available as well. But
I'm listening, just give me a minute.
Yep. So you've got that going on, but you're going to have to pick one. Hopefully it's got something going on.
Help us be able to find, would tracking help us be able to find one better, or would it be more of awareness?
You could roll an awareness just to basically see if there's something that looks salvageable. I can't take my eyes off the freaking the freaking silly string thing.
At this point is so enthralled with the rabbits. He's like, maybe we should get another car, but they can't see any.
So that's Beric's awareness.
Wow. Beric is just hot tonight. Jesus.
Oh.
Really hot. My God.
Okay, so that's
39.
39 for Beric's awareness.
I swear to God, my dice haven't done this in a long time. They fucking love you guys. I just rolled an odd 9 to find what you could find.
All right.
We found a tank.
Actually an APC.
Well, there you go.
But
I'm personnel. I like to be carried. I like armor.
Well, this APC is large. It can actually carry what seems to be an 8-man crew, 2 and 1 driver, 1 passenger. So it's large. But it's also got the doors open. There's like a body that's like slumped over at the foot of where you would get in with the side door, and then you have like the inside seems to be unmolested. But Beric, with your current awareness, like that's the guy, because that's fully covered, heavily armored, ready to go. And if they have any kind of like fusion cell like what you were dealing with before, there's going to be a power inside of it that you can use.
Very nice.
All right, so as you guys head that direction, everybody's moving along. The aerial display is beginning to kind of like simmer down, but it's still ongoing. You jump to this APC. You can hear more screeches and more demonic cries. As you roll the door shut, Beric, I'm assuming you're a wheelman again?
Yeah.
This time Ivar's going to try and do another reality shift, but what he's going to try and do is create around the vehicle his reality bend, where if anything fires at us, it goes in one side and just fires back out.
Okay.
Which is it's a target 7. Would it still remain a target 7 because of the moving vehicle?
No, it's going to be an 8 because you're going to have to sustain it in motion. So.
Okay.
Here, Beric was going to ask you if you could like invisible jet so that we could see
nice
through the floor
One's
and
enough.
everything.
All right.
all
Ivar
around
just
us.
like,
See a
work!
blind
Why
spot.
don't you work? and you can see like it looks like it's gonna be this huge thing, and then it like comes down and it's just enough.
All right, so in your head, Barrack, you've got Firestorm reaching back in. It's like, this is going to be a little bit more interesting. I see you've taken over one of the APCs. That's good. I'll set a route. You're going to have to take some ways in there to make sure that you're not followed in by various hostiles that are already in pursuit.
Right.
I'll see if I can't lead you in some possible direction. I won't be able to give you a live snapshot of what's actually going on. You'll have to do that yourself. But the route will be laid out.
Sounds good. You want me to hit you with another drive?
Yep.
Is there a way to while we're in this vehicle to help Barrack with awareness of what's going on, like calling things out?
Well, it's completely sealed, so if you take shotgun, yeah, you can basically identify what's going on, because you've got the windows that look out, and it's like heavily plated, and plus it looks like the windows are probably some kind of like ballistic proof.
Will there be any
Nice.
Deduction off of Ivar's ability to do that, since he's also maintaining the mirror reflection?
Well, I mean, if you're going to try and use your reality shift to give you better perspective, yes, that means that your difficulty will go up a little higher.
I think he's just going to go for general awareness.
Okay.
Unless
You can just roll
he kinda
awareness
looks
and
like
keep your eyeballs open, yeah.
yeah.
Just means your difficulty will be a little higher, that's all.
$22.
Wow, even with that, yeah, you fucking made it. Alright, so the vehicle kickstarts, you guys rumble forward. It's a lot slower than the other one, but it gets up to speed. And so you're following these rails, and you can see the route that Firestorm has played out in your Times Square marquee. It's just laying out where you have to go. So you're basically following the fucking, like, the ribbon as it goes along. So you have that wireframe display as it's enabling you to watch how everything puts together.
Firestorm, can you come with me when we get out of this place?
I wouldn't mind, necessarily. I'm kind of in one spot, but I can definitely travel along, depending. Besides, you're going to have to make it out of here alive if that's going to happen.
Ivar just kind of shouts out, "Just find his hard drive and take it with you."
That sounds a bit disturbing.
You don't just take another man's hard drive.
Agreed. Hold on. And right as he says that on comms, you know, Ivar, you get a massive
Orange it.
spike of, like, threat coming from near the center at everyone's right.
John, to the right.
Okay. John takes a look to the right.
So you come up to the front, and you peel out to the right-hand side looking through the window, because, again, the entire back of it is covered in armor. By the way, there are weapons in here, so just keep that in mind, because you guys locked it up and kicked the corpse out. But, you look to the right, you can see these little, like, orange flares that are popping up, and they start to zoom in your direction. You got Firestone's like, oh, those are rockets. You might want to maneuver.
Time to maneuver, Barrack. Do we have any, in my general awareness of what's going on, are there any weapons or anything we can see that kind of almost throw out, spray out the back to knock these rockets down?
Well, rockets don't have any kind of heat-seeking, so it's basically do or die. They just launch straight, so even if you had countermeasures, it wouldn't matter. It just depends on their aim and his driving.
All right. Let's drive.
Do it. Now for my favy.
I want to re-roll that.
You can.
D, just let me know when I need to do something. I gotta take care of something downstairs.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's 16. Well, burn 2 luck, but who cares?
Well, in this case, you ended
Famous
up getting an
last
18
words.
in total. Alright, hang on. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Oh, I know you're in here. There you are. Ooh.
I wonder what Riv is doing right now. Beck, what do you think Riv is doing right now?
Last time she wandered off, she found some sort of zombie thing and took care of herself quite well.
All
I'm
right.
assuming she's enjoying her gauntlets.
So you're rolling along. He's just like, I wonder what Fred's doing right now. And you're like, "Brr," like, there's one rocket that goes flying across the front of the vehicle, missing completely. Another one that lands behind. One that goes over the top and blasts into the dome outside, where there are several elevated residential levels that seem to have like houses and residences that were pinned up in there. One crashes right alongside of, like, even though Ivar's like dispersion, there's enough of a change that it just blasts out. You can actually see the vehicle kind of lift like this and settle back down. Everybody goes tilting.
Careful, Barrett. Come on.
I'm doing what I can. I can't see.
Ivar, I need you to make another check to hold your reality shift in place, because that rattled inside your head.
And let me know when I need to dash upstairs for a roll.
Will do.
Ivar is going to spend 2 luck to bump that, make that 1 go away, so he has 1 degree of success.
All right, so it sustains barely. And anyway, Firestorm just kind of pops back and is like, "You survived that. I don't know what you people are doing, but somehow or another, you have definitely managed to make this work in your favor. More rockets incoming."
We tend to disagree with reality.
I seem to see that literally.
All you hear from
Yes.
the cult is just basically evil laughter. He's just enjoying himself.
Are there any defenses or anything like that that the ACP has?
Yes, the APC
has?
does have actually weapons on board. Your route is going to take a sharp left turn going into the primary complex of the residential area.
All right.
So if
I'm
you
just
make
wondering
if you want to make another drive check for me there, Scott.
What would I have to roll if Ivar wanted to try and figure out how these kind of weapon systems work? Are they just traditional guns, or is there like some computerized weapon system in here?
Well, for the most part, they seem to be fairly simplistic.
Okay.
So if they are active, if like Barrack basically gives you the go-ahead, you can sit like in it, because there's a top hatch and then there's a smaller section where you can go out there. But the side door, you roll that out, so more or less you have a seat, and then you can roll it to the side. The door slides open, and you've got a similar weapon to what was in that other vehicle, where you can start taking shots out from the side of the APC.
What would Ivar have to roll to be able to shoot that weapon?
You'd have to roll a heavy skill check.
Ivar starts, like, as he's looking over things, he's looking over this gun, and he's like, John could do it, Ivar could do it too!
I believe in you, Ivar.
Is there anything like pistols or something like that that the gunslinger could use?
Yes, there are weapons in here. There's
Ivar.
actually in the back of the APC where the ramp would normally come down. There's actually a body there with one of the former UAC guardsmen that was actually inside of the APC at one time. You could rifle through him and see what's up.
Yeah, and then another question with regards to that is, can he channel his Stygian guns through the advanced technology of the pistols?
Yeah, I mean, you could basically harmonize with it. It's a pistol. That's what you're familiar with.
Yep. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do then. Give me 1 second. I'm just.
No problem. 18
Why
drive,
did that?
nice.
Ivar rolled a 16 for heavy.
Okay. Yeah, I see that.
Can someone roll? Because gunslinger is plus 23 when he's hitting something. Plus 23 after he searches the body.
D10 plus 23.
D10 plus 23. Yeah.
Are you trying to shoot the rockets?
No. The pistols. He's rifling for pistols.
Yep. Those rockets are coming from quite a distance away. That's why they're mostly missing.
29 for the bill roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, the gunslinger's back in formation, and what he's doing is he's just going to, when the rockets get close, he's going to shoot them.
That's what I thought.
Yep. Sorry.
All right.
And Ivar is doing like that scene in Indiana Jones: Last Crusade where Sean Connery's on the plane and he's just firing.
He's happening to do pretty good. Okay. I will, before you guys veer off into the more secluded sections, make your rolls, because these rockets are coming in and they're being launched. Most of them are going wide. Like they're not really coming close, but there are a couple that would probably be dangerous if not taken care of. So with the 16, I don't think Ivar is going to be able to stop the rocket, but he's really fucking getting close. All right, John. Was that roll a 29 for the shot? Or was that just something else? Sorry to interrupt, Scott. Just a moment.
Oh.
No, that was basically he's going to get those pistols and he's going to channel his Stygian
All right.
powers into however many shots he needs to make. So how many rockets are close by?
You've got rockets that are coming in. There's 2 rockets right now that seem to be a threat. If you're gauging their trajectory right.
Okay, so he's got the one which was a 29.
Okay.
And he's going to make another shot. So 30, so 29 and 30. And then, yeah.
Okay. So, the first one, you basically powered up and you're like, yep. Taking your first aim shot, firing it over. I mean, you're just like really careful about it. The first series of rounds that you fire at that rocket, they succeed, and the rocket detonates before getting there. You go fire, 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 fire. Right after that, the next one hits right at the tail end of the APC, but because Ivar's field is still in place, it manages to cause a massive fishtail effect, making it do this, the explosion erupting out the side, not causing any catastrophic damage, but man is it loud. It pops everybody's ears, except Barracks. Yeah, I mean, Ivar's like hearing the fire going off with the weapon, and because the vehicle veers, you can hear the screeching tires and that explosion. It just radiates, like there's a shockwave through the cabin of the APC when that happens. Ivar, make another will check, and with your roll, you manage to actually stop the fishtail and take your left turn going inside that residential area. That's accurate.
3 degrees.
Oh shit, man, you barely keep it, man. Your fucking head is pounding. Because keeping these explosions from ripping the whole thing apart is more or less taking everything you've got.
And as Ivar's shooting, he's like, "Argh!" Just to like
yep.
maintain.
Ivar made
The real reason that Barrack has the dampers is to get rid of his tinnitus. From all the gun content nearby his head.
No shit. Firestorm is timing in. It's just like, well, son of a bitch, you pulled it off. And it's like, keep following that route. And then you guys go swimming through, and I mean, you're going as fast as you can. You've dropped from the high speed down to about 25, 35 miles an hour, depending on how many turns you have to take, but you're snaking inside and outside some of these alleyway points and moving on through. And you can still, in the very far distance, tell that there's more chaos and commotion occurring. With that being said, you clear, and now, to give you an idea, you guys are damn near 10 kilometers going through this maze of residential area, and that's, like, you don't manage to get encountered again by too much, except for like just hearing the sounds off in the back end there. Let me see, I gotta find the right one for y'all. Let's go back to this. But you finally are rolling through. You can see that the fuel cells are holding tight. You guys have got the cabin, the cabin door open. The gun's just kind of like moving around. You got Ivar finally like just panning, looking for anything else that might be going on. With this, you don't see anything up top. There are still like random firelights that come out, but you don't seem to be noticed. As you've finally quieted down, you come rolling up to this other building where your nav point finally stops, and you can see that there were some other like battles to have been fought at this one particular location, and it looked like it was pretty nasty. And Firestorm just comes back into comms. Welcome to Sector 2. This is the staging area.
So I was going to say, it is now 10 o'clock.
Yep.
Is this a good stopping point?
Yes, I'm going to have it as a reveal. I've got one reveal I got to push first, and then we're going to hold it right there. Because there's other things to be had. Anyway, but you come up and it's like, this is...
And Riv appears.
Yep, not exactly.
Riv's like, hi, guys! I got rid of my gauntlet!
Right. Sector 2, staging area for what?
This was to be the final point where we were going to be able to finally seal the rest of it. The markers contained in that building up ahead. You get the little marker on your marquee. Unfortunately, the unit that was sent to take care of this was destroyed. You'll find the unit inside along with the marker.
What do you mean by unit?
Space Marines. Recently trained.
Okay.
How long ago were they went in there?
A few weeks back.
What kind of equipment were they bringing? Do we have schematics of how this thing works?
I'll help you, but you need to go inside before anything else takes notice of where you are.
Fair enough. Ivar just kind of takes a deep breath, and you see his reality shift around the vehicle, just kind of like suck back into Ivar.
And as they're exiting the vehicle, Barrick just wants to glance and see if there's any useful weapons for him in there. Not looking for anything special, but anything heavier than a pistol, just in case.
Yes, you have some assault rifles. There's a couple of them with a few box mags ready to go, and they're inside of one of the more sealed lockers that's at the back end of the APC used for deployment. So yes, you do have equipment that is of military grade that would have suit you very well here. The only thing is that they don't have any specified
gun with it, but.
So you can grab some extra weaponry and you go walking in. Now this residential area, the staging area that he was referring to, looks like it had been some sort of a convenience store or something of that nature, with only a few windows staring out front. There looked to be merchandise on the inside, a back door leading to a store, like the storage room that's in the back where everything would get folded over. And inside, where the windows have been shattered, you do in fact see a tactical team that had been taken out in a rather bloody fashion. Most of them unrecognizable. The bodies have been either chewed on, mangled, maimed, clawed.
How's the blood?
Old.
Coagulated.
Yes.
Nothing the ring can absorb.
Well, you haven't tried.
Ivar just kind of looks at it and kind of like puts the ring next to it.
Ivar, I'm bleeding here if you want some of mine.
You're bleeding? Ivar walks over and tries to touch
the ring to John.
So Firestorm kicks back into everyone's comms. He's like, at least I can piggyback off your video feed. Stop there. Like while you're panning around looking at the room and assessing the damage, where he tells you to stop, you actually see this insignia drawn into the floor.
John's gonna do an occult roll.
Mm-hmm.
Those Ivar. 29 from Ivar. Ivar's like, ooh.
Nice. That'll work. Yeah.
28.
It looks like a complicated magical setup, but what it's for is creating a more or less a stasis, a point of stasis anyway, where a single object could actually remain and be untouched. And you have Firestorm in your comms like that symbol there. If you follow my instructions exactly, we might be lucky enough to actually see one of the survivors.
Does Ivar know enough with the cult with his roll of 29 to get that magical symbol up and running?
Well, see, the thing is that the symbol is active, and it's definitely powered up in the sense that it's drawing energy from somewhere. The thing is that you have to deactivate it to get it to collapse. Now, you can't just do it willy-nilly and just run a line through the outside edge of that circle of the geometric shape. You have to be very specific. and everything like this. You could do it, but you don't know if it would be done properly. And hearing over the comms, Firestorm seems to actually know what it is to actually deactivate it properly.
Perfect. So it seems like we must get this done. What's going to stand in our way, Firestorm?
Nothing. I wasn't sure that you'd be able to make it, but given the fact that you all seem to have special talents, it worked out in our favor much more easily than I would have expected, although I have this feeling that you've done worse. Follow these instructions. And then, you see the instructions coming up, and you go around each point and inscribe the various insignia that are needed for each one of them. And then you see a small glowing of luminescence, and then it's like particles of reality suddenly pull upward, and this individual is standing in the center of it. You can see him take a really deep breath as he does it. He's got like a black wife beater on, fatigues, combat boots, and he's got his hair shaved in a military type cut. Oh, nice. Okay, yeah, everybody will be able to hear him. But he stands up like that. He's about 6 foot, really well muscled. The other thing that you notice is that he has scars. He is covered in scars from his arms to his chest. His face has got multiple scars going all across the back of his head. And, he ends up going like...
And Ivar just looks at him and says, "Hello, I am Ivar."
He looks around, it's like...
Barrett's going to draw on them.
It just looks at, Barrack. He's like... Not a demon. Promise.
Who are you? I'm Ivar.
And he's like, Draven. And Firestorm's like, he's a friendly. You don't have to shoot him.
Hello, Draven. I am Ivar. I'm doing well today. How are you?
Could be better, Ivar. He's looking at everybody else, and they're like, and what's that? Like, pointing at John, who's all teched out and demonic looking.
He's on our side. He's also a friendly. As long as you are.
You see him, narrow his, focus on John. He's just like, I'll take your word for it. Firestorm's vouching for you. But you can see that there's a definite quiet threat in his expression, looking at John. And you realize that there is obviously something in his history that makes him very wary of anything like it. And he's like, Firestorm, are you still on my comms? And of course, Firestorm talks to everyone. And he's like, I am. I'm glad to see that you're still alive. He's just looking around, it's like, are you able to see the devastation or no? He's like, I'm actually piggybacked off of Barrack. He's allowing me access to the video feed. It's obviously not good. Were you able to secure it? He's like, nods his head. I was. But there's still a problem. We're gonna have to make sure that any of these vac suits are still working. There's nothing but space where we have to go with it. And Firestorm's like, acknowledged. Looking at what I can see from the feed, Barrack, if you'd be so kind as to show me what's over there in that left corner.
Eric will comply.
And while he's doing that, Ivar looks at Draven and goes, vacuum suits. Do you need suits to be able to go into space?
Don't you?
Okay, D's gonna have
Or
me
never
on,
been.
D's gonna have me on autopilot.
Okay.
Guys, I gotta take care of something real quick.
No
so
problem.
I'm
Not
gonna
a
talk to you guys later. Sorry about that.
No problem. So,
At Firestorm, what do you need to see?
just hold your position on that target there. And you can see that there's a couple of fallen Marines. They're in the slumped corner. There's a locker, and it looks like there are several crates that may have been used as a point of equipment or storage. And he's like, those seem intact. You might be lucky. There could be 2, maybe 3 vac suits available. When Draven nods, he's like, all right then. Barrack, right?
Yeah. Special Agent Leon Barrack, retired.
Draven. Eldritch Knight. It's a pleasure. Like, he goes walking over to this locker, which is really heavy set. Looks like it was deployed inside of this area. He ends up thumbing open something and punching in a 6-digit code. You see it roll the door up, and this long rod on the inside, looking to be made out of metal, and it carries all sorts of arcane insignia on it. And he's just like, it's in one piece. We can still do this.
Does Ivar recognize the arcane?
You might be able to.
Ivar, just out of curiosity, like stumbles forward and starts inspecting the arcane to see what it's saying. 28.
Of course, John is just going to be like interested, but waiting to see what's going on. Well, it looks like it is a arcane conductor of a sort, meant to work in concert with possibly 5 other of its own type, meant to seal something off, which now makes a lot more sense with what Firestorm was describing.
Very nice
shield of some kind.
He ends up pulling the rod out, and he looks at it, it's like, it's going to create a seal that's going to lock every single nasty thing in here forever, and keep it from going anywhere else. It was a prototype. It almost worked. We got 5 of the other markers in place. We couldn't get this one. I sealed myself in a stasis, hoping that maybe somebody would be able to come by if I was lucky enough.
Ivar came by.
That you did.
We had a hell of a time getting here. Do you know where we need to go next?
Yes. We have a target. Approximately 1 click that direction just outside of the dome, outside of any safe zone. I've got the exact location where this marker is supposed to be. And he goes over to the other 2 crates, pops them open, and he just kind of looks at it and he's like, only 2 vac suits viable, though. Not everybody can go.
Right then, are we able to hold up here for a little bit?
I don't think we got much choice. It seems that whatever entities of hell have decided to tear the place up have left it behind for now. Can't guarantee that they won't have another incursion, though.
Real fast, Ivar's kind of looking at the suits. He's curious, could he replicate one?
If you had time enough to study it, possibly. Either way, he's looking at everyone else. He's just like, I don't have any idea what your talents are or how you managed to get here with such light gear, but I'll take it. Firestorm.
Not light gear. Ivar have helmet.
He's looking at his like...
Oh, that's what's causing your will checks to have problems. You had to recalibrate for the extra thick helmet.
So either way, he's like, well then, we might as well get ourselves recollected. Firestorm, I need a sit rep now. I need to find out exactly what condition we're in. How long has it been? And he's like, 2 weeks. He's like, only 2 weeks? I would have figured a lot longer than that. So would I. But unfortunately, well, fortunately actually, these people managed to find their way in. And we seem to have a corresponding goal. At least now we do. They don't want where they're from to get colonized. And he's like, smart. Looks at everyone else. I guess then we have a lot of talking to do. I'll bring you up to speed on what has to happen next. We'll do it that way. Everyone take a seat.
Yeah, Varric's gonna find a place to sit, and he's gonna take the ring from Ivar without touching him, and hold it against his leg injury.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what some nanites and blood will do for that.
As it is, you will go through and describe that. We will actually hold her there because you guys will reveal.
Before we forget, what would the blood on Barrick's leg do to the pool? I'm currently at 7 out of my 15.
It'll give you 2 more points without making him like woozy in the head.
Got it. Thank you, Barrick. Ivar very appreciates.
All right.
Yeah, don't spend it all in one place.
Try not to. So it seems like we have long conversation.
And Barrick's gonna first aid on his leg.
Yep. Go ahead and roll that. And
Ivar
I don't know.
it's first aid or medtech, whichever one you have.
They're both.
Ivar would like to make the staging area a little safer for us.
Mm-hmm.
And almost create an illusion that we are not in here.
Yep.
What would the target be?
Well, you're not moving anymore, and plus it's very passive. I would say make it a 7.
Ivar takes the helmet off, sets it down, and you see him just kind of.
Nice. Wow, ridiculous. Yeah, you
So
guys.
we're at Shangri-La.
You are completely obstructed from the outside world. Nothing thinks there's anything in here of note. You make it utterly blasé. So yeah, he will basically bring you guys to brief, and you guys will relinquish at some point that you had another companion, and we'll basically pick up with this part of it 2 weeks from now, and we'll do a world building next week. But well,
That's good.
to our one guy that was in here